we're going to start right with you, Michael.
Okay.
So is journalism dead?
Yes, I did this little PowerPoint. I don't normally do these, but I guess we can run this thing. There we go. When Margaret called me and said, is journalism dead, I thought this was going to be a very short talk, even though I had 10 minutes, because the answer is yes. And that's the end of that talk. The more
Thank
it
you,
is.
next.
Yeah, no, it's finished. I mean, it's done. And you know, so many of my friends are unemployed. They're not making any money. Things are closing down. It's walking dead. It just doesn't know it's dead if it doesn't know it yet. So the more interesting question to me is, A, why is it dead? And B, what can we do to restore it? So I'm going to try and jam this into the 10 minutes I have allotted here. That's why I did this thing. There you go. It's dead because it committed suicide, which it absolutely did. It killed itself. What killed it was the internet revolution. The internet revolution, the internet, as you know, is about gathering information, packaging it, processing it, and making a profit off of giving it out. And a lot of companies got the hang of this thing. Unfortunately, we never did. Information all about, see these things, I hate these things, but there it is. Okay. What happened was the information revolution came along and the geeks stole our lunch. This is essentially true. Briefly, among the many things that I did, I founded a company called Video News International, which I did in 1992. And that was a collection of about 100 VJs, or MoJos you'd call them, around the world. And of course, I had to give them cameras and train them because the thing never happened before. And most of them I picked up from Life magazine and Time magazine because they were firing all the photographers. And then I sold 51% of that business to the New York Times, and I became the president of New York Times Television and took the New York Times into video. And in 1998, the New York Times was offered an opportunity to take an equity position in Google, a company you probably never heard of, for $1 million. They could have taken about 30% of the company, but they passed on it because they said, where are the journalists? Who's doing the journalism? Who writes the stuff? This is not real journalism. So the idiots walked away. Today, if they own 30% of Google, we'd have no issue with journalists getting paid, but they couldn't bring themselves to do it because they were trapped in this notion of journalism, which is what's going to kill us. Here's the bottom line. If there's no revenue, there's no journalism. So we have to pay attention to the business side of this thing and stop screwing around with the other part of it. If you're not making any money, if your business isn't making any money, if you're not generating revenue, you are dead. No matter how lovely the pictures are you're getting with the iPhones, no matter what great stories you're telling, it's over. So we have to pay attention to the business side of this. Journalists don't do this because we're all the product of this A.J. Liebling thing. The job of the journalist is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Screw it. We should make money like everybody else does. Until we wrap our heads around that thing, this is never going to happen. Now, if you look at the revenue stream for this is New York Times, a print newspaper, you see when the internet came along, it ate our lunch. What it did was it stole all of our content, put it online, charged money for revenue, and made billions and billions and billions of dollars. Well, we made nothing. My wife told me not to curse, so I won't do it this time. Right. Here's a list of the most valuable companies in the world in the year 2000. General Motors, Walmart, Exxon, Mobil, Ford, and General Electric. Get the idea? Big industries, 1900 kind of mentality. Here's the list in 2017. Apple, Alphabet, which is Google, Microsoft, Exxon Mobil, which is going to be pushed out by IBM this year, and Facebook. Do you see anything different here? Do you notice what's happened to the world? The major industries are information-driven industries. That's our business. We as journalists are in the information business, but we got screwed here because we didn't pay attention. It's not too late. It's almost too late, but it's not too late. This is my little thing for England, because we're actually in Ireland. They hate me.
Yeah, sorry. This is Ireland.
Never mind.
I used to work for a British newspaper. The number of cartoons I had to say no to was extraordinary.
Right. Even though it's the British Isles, we don't say that anymore either. No.
I'm going to have to put you off the stage in a minute.
It's the Irish Isles. Anyway, in the 19th century, we are like the lace makers in Nottingham. We're busy in making our little things, each one of us ourselves. Isn't this cute? Now we can use iPhones to make the little things we used to use before. Isn't this lovely? And the same thing happened in the 19th century in Britain and then the rest of the world when the Industrial Revolution came along. People started to build these giant factories, and the lace makers got screwed, essentially. Facebook is the satanic mills of the 21st century, and they are stealing our business and taking our lunch, and we are getting screwed. So the trick here is to own the mills. We have to wrap our heads around the idea that we have to take possession of these online companies and stop screwing around. Now here's the problem. Our architecture of the way we work is very much made in the 19th century. We make a few things up here, we share it with everyone else, and we charge advertisers for the privilege. We make it, you watch it. We make it, you read it. Newspapers, magazines, television, radio, it doesn't make any difference. It all works the same way. Now let me tell you something very interesting. If you take a look at all the businesses that are a child of the internet, in other words, not like the New York Times, which slams its content on the internet and looks like a goddamn newspaper. I mean, it's the dumbest thing in the world. I won't say about the Irish Times because I haven't seen the website, but my guess is exactly the same. You are still making a 19th century product, putting it on screens going, oh, look, we're online, aren't we cool? Idiots. Here's eBay. You're all familiar with eBay. eBay is made of two tranches. On the top is all the junk in the world, right? A toast that has the face of Jesus on it, your old car, nobody cares. The more crap you put in the top, the more valuable eBay becomes. If we hired an executive producer who said, no, Jesus toast today, people don't want that, eBay would die. So the secret to these things is no barriers to entry. Everybody puts in all the junk that they want. On the bottom is all the people who want the junk that's on eBay. More junk on the top, more people on the bottom. The company puts itself at the point of transaction between these two, and it makes connections all day long, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This company is worth $32 billion, and it doesn't make a goddamn thing. It just provides a platform. Now, if you take that model and you look at every other, they start to have a pattern. Uber, Facebook, Instagram, Airbnb, Jewish dating sites, doesn't matter what it is, the more junk you put in the top, the more crap you get on the bottom, the more valuable the thing is. Nobody does this with journalism. We're still all messed up with this thing that killed the New York Times. Wait a minute, we are the journalists. The rest of you don't count. Here's a model for journalism for the 21st century if we could ever wrap our heads around it. Pardon me.
Give everybody a break just for a second. Everybody, can you catch your breath?
If you could create a cache of all the journalism that's done, yeah, BBC, you can put your Irish Times, you can put your stuff into it. There are 3.5 billion people in the world who have smartphones. Every one of those smartphones shoots videos, edits video, puts in graphics, and shares with the world. That is 3.5 billion journalists. I came here 2 years ago, I said, well, all journalists, people get very upset. But it's the truth. Wise up. 1 million refugees streamed into Europe from Syria and Iraq and places like that last year. And you saw them on television, and everybody said, oh, look, they have so much money. They all have smartphones. You know what else? They all got video. And I'll bet all of them were shooting video of what happened to them. How much of that video did you ever see on the BBC or NBC? Zero. You know why zero? Because we have this stupid arrogance that only we know the truth and the rest of you don't. So you would rather send some, it's true, it's idiotic. You would rather send some moron from the BBC, I shouldn't bite the fan that feeds me. Some moron from CNN, oh, jeez, I can't say anything. From Atlanta to go and fly to Pakistan, where they don't speak Urdu, they don't know the culture, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they become the reporter. And they go, now reporting from Pakistan, when you probably got 100 million people in Pakistan who have cell phones who are ready to report and share their information with the world. So wise up. There is a Saudi Arabia of oil lying there in terms of content. There are people who have real stories to tell, who can do it themselves, who know how to do this. The technology is in their hands. This is the model that will save journalism. The problem is we don't have the brains to embrace it because we have this stupid arrogance of only we know the truth and the rest of you can go kiss my whatever and just watch what we're telling you. This is why we are dead. We are dead because we are killing ourselves. The technology allows us to democratize the medium. This is a medium of information. It can be an incredibly powerful machine. But the only thing that is going to change this is if we back off and we accept the fact that everyone has a voice and everyone should be heard. And if we do that, things will do well. One more second here, right, because I'm off.
One more second.
Be sure to sign up for my site, thevj.com. Fantastic training
plug,
and a lot of other things.
Well done. Spot on. Spot on. Okay. Always hugely entertaining and passionate. Thank you very much.